It's so good to see everyone here today. My name is Pastor Amy St. John-Fiedler, and I will be bringing the message. Pastor Desmond is out of town today, and he will be back next week, but I want to welcome you, and I realize that in a setting like this, we've come together from all different places, all different things going on in our lives, and I'm just so glad and so thankful that you've made the decision to be here today. I wanted to talk with you a little bit today about faith. And I wanted to take you back to a time, it was about 30 years after Jesus had died. It was in 64 AD. Jesus died in 33. And this was 64 AD, and we had a group of people who were Hebrew Christians. So they had been of the Jewish religion, but they decided to follow Christ. So at this time in history, what I'm going to refer to it as is an in-between time. See, these people, the Jewish had expected that when Jesus became King of Kings, they expected that he was going to arrive on a white horse wearing a robe and coming in a chariot, but instead what he did was he came in on a donkey. He came in as a servant leader, and his one and only purpose for coming in, being born, was to provide a way to the Father, his Father. And so it was a time when the people felt a lot of discouragement. They were somewhat confused. They were still living with the expectation that this would be a king that would overcome Rome and bring the Jewish people back to a time of prosperity. And they became very uncertain during this time because their temptation was to begin to long for how things used to be. I found a couple quotes I wanted to share with you about nostalgia. Remembering things of the past is not necessarily remembering the way things were. And nostalgia isn't what it used to be. So you see, this is a very similar place where the Hebrew Christians were. They were feeling nostalgic. You know, Judaism, it was divinely designed. It was the best religion, and it was a way of expressing true devotion and worship to God. They had the commandments, they had the rituals, they had the prophets, and they all were promises of what to come. And they revealed the way to forgiveness and salvation. But then Jesus came. And so here they were. Jesus said, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them." And that's found in Matthew 5:17. Jesus said, "I have come to fulfill the law." And so it is important for us to understand that Jesus was the fulfillment of the law. And when Jesus died, see, back then in their temple setting, the high priest was in a place called the Holy of Holies, and it was separated by a big veil curtain, which was several feet deep, several feet. And when Jesus died, that curtain, it tore from the top to the bottom. It was a miracle, and what that did was it said, now you can come to God directly through Jesus Christ. There is no longer a curtain creating a barrier between us. Matthew 27:51 says, "And behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the earth shook, and the rocks split." This is what happened immediately upon Jesus' death. That curtain was torn. Jesus came for one reason and one reason only, and that was to offer us salvation, a way to come directly to Father God. Jesus said in John 14:9, "I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." See, the message of Jesus Christ was very difficult for them to accept. Although they had sought and they believed that there was a Messiah to come for many, many centuries, they were entrenched in thinking in traditional forms. They were entrenched in thinking that their way of worship was going to continue the same, but things had changed. It felt to them like following Jesus was like abandoning the 613 laws that they had been following. Imagine that, getting really good at following 613 laws, and then suddenly Jesus comes, and it felt like they were in a way disowning or forsaking their scriptures. That's what it felt to them. So many of us are conscientious shoppers. We shop for value. We shop for the best product, for the money. Any wise parent would desire only the best for their children. We want to nourish their growing bodies. We want to nurture their spirits, nurture their minds. And let's face it, individuals with integrity seek the best investment of their time, their talent, and their treasure. In every area, to settle for less would be wasteful, foolish, and irresponsible. Yet, there's such a natural pull toward what is convenient and what is comfortable. So the message was written particularly to these second-generation Hebrew Christians who may have been considering turning back to what they knew, turning back to what was comfortable. In Hebrews 10, they were encouraged not to give up. This is what Hebrews 10:35 and 36 says. "Do not throw away your confidence. It will be richly rewarded. You need to persevere. You need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what He has promised. But we are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but we are of those who believe and are saved." We of those who are believed, who believe and are saved. So I want to encourage each of us to not give up. If you are in a time in your life where you are facing uncertainty, and if you're not at that place now, believe me, there will come a time when you will face uncertainty. It's just part of life. It would be very natural for us, just like the Hebrew Christians, to want to give up, want to go back to our old ways rather than lean forward and lean into Jesus Christ and His faith way. Even though where they were and where they needed to go, they wrestled with, it wasn't what they expected. The Jewish people, their expectations, they were rooted in immediate. We want what we've known. We want immediate. We want material. We want earthly kingdom. And we want the independence that we thought we would have had. But here comes Jesus. And what Jesus offers is a faith way. Jesus offers a faith way. So I have a couple of questions for you to think about this morning. What do we do when our expectations, what do we do with our expectations when everything changes? What do we do with our expectations? Where do we turn? You see, this is the very place that the people were, that we are learning about today. And the people were encouraged through Hebrews chapter 10. They were encouraged not to give up. And I want to encourage you today not to give up. Do not give up. Do you remember when you were a young child and your birthday was approaching? Let us pause for a minute and kind of remember back. Or if you have young children, you see this in them. It was going to be your birthday. How did you feel? You were excited. You were anxious. You knew that you were going to receive gifts and you were going to receive other special treats. But still, there would be some things that would be a surprise. Birthdays combine both the assurance that we are having a birthday, but also anticipation. And it's kind of similar to faith, how faith is. Faith provides us the assurance, but it also, we live in the anticipation of what is to come. Faith is a conviction. It's based on past experiences and the promise of God's new and fresh surprises that will surely be ours. Hebrews 1:1-3. Our scripture focus for today, this is what it says. Now faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. This is what the ancients were commended for. By faith, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, and that what was seen was not made out of what was visible. So let's talk about these two words right here. Sure and certain. Sure and certain. These are the beginning and the ending point for us today, because the beginning point of faith is believing in God's character, that he says he is who he says he is. The sure part of faith is rooted in believing in God's character, that he is who he says he is. And the ending point is believing in God's promises, that I am certain that he will do what he says he will do. So I'm sure of who he is, and I'm certain that he will do what he promises to do. So for us who believe in God, he will fulfill his promises. Even though we don't see those promises materializing yet, we demonstrate and we live by faith that we believe in the God of creation and we believe in his promises. There's a story in the Bible that demonstrates this beautifully for us. How many of you have heard of doubting Thomas? Some of you may even have been accused of being like a doubting Thomas. The story is found in John 20, verses 24-31. The setting took place after Jesus was crucified, and he conquered the grave, he resurrected, and he walked on the earth for 40 days. Jesus walked on the earth for 40 days after he was crucified. And then This is a story I want to read to you of Jesus appearing to Thomas. Now, Thomas, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord. We have seen the Lord." And Thomas said to them, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands, and I'm able to put my fingers where the nails were, and I put my hand to his side, unless I see the proof, I will not believe." A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. And although the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them. Jesus showed up. And he said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your fingers here. See my hands? Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." Jesus says, "Blessed are you and you and you and you who have not seen but yet believe." There is a blessing upon you. Jesus says, "Blessed are you who have not seen but yet believe." And it ends with, Jesus performed many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not recorded in the book. But these were written that you may believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. So the message that I bring to you today is for those of you who have come this morning who may be struggling with faith. I want to remind you that your faith should not be based on your circumstance. Your faith should be based on what we learned out of Hebrews 11, that your faith is sure, that your faith is rooted in who God is. He is creator. Our faith is rooted in God. It's not rooted in our circumstances. This message might be for you who are wondering, how can I have faith? How can I have faith? Or some of us may have come here needing encouragement in our faith. So let this be a reminder for you today. Just before Christmas this last year, I got a phone call from a lady who asked if she could meet with me, and she wanted to talk with me about something very difficult that was going on in her life. And so we met. The difficulty I felt was very important for me to meet with her, so we met on December 23rd, which was a couple days before Christmas. And she shared with me that she had found out that her husband was cheating on her. And she found this out, and I said, "Let's talk about it. Tell me a little bit about it." And I said to her, first of all, we're heading into the holidays. It's going to be a lot of emotion, a lot of family, a lot of things going on. So I'm going to ask you if you would please take time to just pray. Pray, pray, pray. Pray, pray, pray. And let's not make any immediate decisions on what to do about this. Let's just pray. Let's bring it before the Lord. Well, I met with her again last week, and she said to me, she wanted to meet with me again, so we met, and she said, my husband repented. He's broken. He said, you know what, I never really understood. I never really surrendered my life to Christ. But I want to now, and he has surrendered his life to Christ. They're going to marriage counseling, and they're rebuilding trust. They're rebuilding trust. And I know that, every situation is different, but I just believe that no matter what we go through, no matter what we face in our life, when we bring it to the Lord in prayer and by faith, that Jesus has the faith way for us to proceed. He has a faith way. He mends the brokenhearted. He sets the captives free. He binds our woundedness. He heals us. Yes. So, as I wrap this up today, I want to remind us again that faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. God is very pleased when we have active faith. He wants us to be very active in our faith. And what that means is he wants us to live with that anticipation, like that child anticipating their birthday, realizing that God has more for me. He has healing, he has deliverance, and he has a way for me to walk in, and it's his way. Well, today we're going to celebrate communion together. And I'm very thankful that we have this opportunity today to share in the Lord's Supper. After this message about faith, and some of us may want to renew our faith, some of us may want to really examine that faith is rooted in the assurance of God as creator, not our circumstances or situations. And it was the night before Jesus went to the cross that he gathered his disciples. And they sat down in a very quiet, intimate setting together. And he told them that he must go and that he would be going. And he said, but after I'm gone, I want you to remember me. I want you to remember that my body was broken for you, and I want you to remember that my blood was shed for your salvation. So today we're going to partake together, and I'll ask the ushers to please come forward. And as they're serving you communion is open in the Church of the Nazarene. It's open for anyone who believes in Jesus Christ. And as communion is shared, I'll ask you to hold it until we're all served, and you can take this time to just meditate and be in his presence. Aren't we so thankful when Jesus said, "Do this in remembrance of me," that he left something for us to just continue to be reminded of what he's done for us. This is his body that was broken for us. Take and eat. In remembrance that his body was broken for you. And this cup represents the blood that was shed for you. Drink in remembrance of Jesus Christ. It's so good to be together in the house of the Lord. It's so good to share with each of you. Thank you.